Can Bittensor save AI from itself? My name is Jeremy, aka School Crypto, and I'm bringing you another Bittensor video. So centralized AI has a lot of holes in the bucket, and there are a lot of different areas in which Bittensor is really trying to make it whole and save artificial intelligence from itself. And there are 5 different subnets that I would like to profile that's going to really help AI become a lot more safe, a lot more efficient, and ultimately going to make it a lot better overall. And the first couple of subnets that I wanted to go over is Templar and Iota. And both of these subnets are pre-training subnets. So basically, they pre-train large language models in a decentralized fashion. And the first couple of things that they're doing very well is ultimately making it a lot more efficient in terms of training these models. And Templar just came out with an article basically talking about how the miners and the validators are really training these models online versus having an all-in-one type of data center, which these big shops like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google are doing. So making it a lot more distributed. And the issues with those big centralized large language models is that you have these single points of failure. And what does that mean? So if you have these 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 big data centers that's basically running all of the compute within that single large language model, and if one of them or a few of them fail, basically it has the potential of breaking down and ultimately not being able to be serviced to all the users. And what Templar is doing and what Iota is doing is they're allowing that distributed compute through all these validators and miners between a bunch of nodes all throughout the world. So that in itself is making the distribution a lot greater, a lot more efficient. And you have the need for a high VRAM, just basically the amount of space that you need in order to power these large language models, GPUs, and high speed. And Templar was eliminating them all based on an article that they just wrote about their new model. And Iota, they're making pre-training just like very easy, one click, single laptop, basically. You can provide compute to the Iota network and be able to pre-train their models, which is incredible. And also, this is improving speed, scaling, and training costs for distributed networks, for the pre-training aspect of it. So, between Templar and Iota, creating a lot more of a distributed, more efficient training, along with having a decentralized model that people can actually analyze, as opposed to having these centralized models in which you don't know how they're trained, right? You don't know how they're post-trained. You don't know what's baking inside the kitchen, right? Or how the sausage is made. So basically having this decentralized ability to train a model, be able to evaluate it, and then also having this distributed, decentralized way of training them is a huge, monumental shift in how LLMs are created, basically. So those are 2 big ones. And then you have Bitsec. What is Bitsec? Basically, they have these AI security agents that basically audit this artificial intelligence code. And a lot of times, this code is manually audited by services that basically have to go through and look at every single piece of code, and it's like not very efficient. And what they do is they analyze code vulnerabilities and they basically have it as open source and they reevaluate the code. So, this is one aspect of auditing and security that is really a huge deal in the artificial intelligence space. And, if you have any bugs, if you have any, basically, things in the code that are not normal, that can basically get exploited, that's really going to affect a lot of users and it could lose a lot of money. So Bitsec is absolutely an essential aspect of artificial intelligence and between their AI coding agents for the security purposes. So that's a big one. And then you have Aurelius. And what is Aurelius? So they're tackling the AI alignment problem. They're trying to find cracks in the LLM infrastructures. And what exactly is that? So we're talking about hallucinations, right? So large language models, they make mistakes. They have made huge mistakes, allegedly, based on a lot of different reports of telling people to do certain things that aren't true or are not warranted. They have certain biases, right? So they'll focus on one aspect of a category instead of maybe having a holistic view. There's some race biases, gender biases that were definitely covered by lots of media outlets. So basically, large language models, they have a lot of these aspects in terms of their alignment. And what Aurelius is doing is they're actually utilizing their miners and validators to check and test these large language models in order to find some of these kinks in the armor and see where all these biases and hallucinations are, and then basically coming out with these reports and data sets in order to tell people, kind of what has what, where are some vulnerabilities here, where are some biases here, where are some hallucinations here, and that gives people an idea of the models that they're working with. And then lastly, the fifth subnet that I'd like to cover is Bitmind. So Bitmind is basically looking at these deep fake photos and videos, and they're utilizing their miners and validators to basically go against each other and create these synthetic, photos and videos and testing whether it's real or fake. And they have a Bitmind bot that you can actually look on X and basically tell with a very high degree of certainty whether something is authentic or whether something is computer generated or synthetic AI generated. And this is a huge issue in artificial intelligence. Everything looks so real. Everything looks so authentic in terms of videos and photos out there. I know that one of my friends created a highlight video from like a sports center, anchor, and he showed me, and it was basically saying Aaron is on fire. He had a 3 for 3 last night with a couple of home runs. I'm like, wow, how did you get somebody to do a video for you? It's like, that was actually completely fake. So the videos that are coming out these days can fool anybody, and you really need to have something like Bitmind in order to really tell if something is real, something is fake, and that's going to save a lot of people from harm, in terms of like authenticating certain messaging out there and deep fakes and whatnot. So in terms of just AI in general, right? You have all these aspects, what I mentioned, right? You have the single points of failure, you have deep fakes, you have centralized AI with like advertising, and they're kind of closed source code that you not sure if you can really trust, right? Because you don't know what the code looks like. And you have all these aspects. You have manual coding, audits, right? As opposed to Bitsec, which has these AI coding agents that can make it a lot more efficient and a lot more robust. And then you have Aurelius tackling that AI alignment problem with the hallucinations and the biases going on. So all of these aspects that these subnets are really tackling are crucial in terms of making AI safe, making it more efficient, making it more decentralized, and making it more open for the people, right? And all those aspects can really save artificial intelligence from itself, because ultimately you want it to have the most distributed, most authentic, most open source, most decentralized type of technology possible, right? And that aspect is really going to be crucial in order to have an artificial intelligence that you can rely on, that you can trust. So I think these 5 subnets really have a chance to make a huge impact on artificial intelligence as a whole and really legitimately be able to save the technology from itself. What do you guys think? Are there any other subnets that are tackling these types of issues that can really, harness that security that's needed for the technology that could be the most breakthrough technology in our lifetimes in all of humankind? Let me know in the comments down below. Definitely give me a like or subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if you got anything from this video. And I will see you on the next one. Take care.